A man who ran one of the country's biggest drug trafficking networks has been jailed following a major complex investigation by Greater Manchester Police's Serious Organised Crime Division. On Monday, the 20th of October 2025, at Manchester Crown Court, Gregory Bell, aged 43, of Scotmount, Prestbury, has been sentenced to 18 years and 9 months for his role in directing the sale and supply of Class A drug and B drugs across the United Kingdom. Bell was also sentenced for money laundering. Operating under encrypted aliases including Castle Nail, Rhino Radio and Wonky Frog, Bell used encrypted mobile phones and spoofed identities, a network of couriers, safe houses and criminal associates to distribute drugs on an industrial scale. The investigation revealed Bell's role as the head of a highly organised crime group that functioned like a business. He managed logistics, authorised deals and collected profits, all while distancing himself from the physical handling of the drugs. Communication showed Bell giving instructions, negotiating prices and coordinating deliveries with precision. Evidence showed the scale of Bell's enterprise, with deals involving multi-kilos of cocaine, heroin, MDMA, amphetamine and cannabis on a daily basis. Cocaine was regularly sold at prices between $37,000 and $43,500 per kilo, with cannabis sold between $4,000 to $46,000 per kilo. The court was also saw the sentencing of Bell's two final criminal associates. Ian Ogden, 36, of Helmshaw Road, Rosendale, was jailed for 16 years and 8 months for conspiracy to supply Class A and B drugs and money laundering. Ogden used the aliases Tubby 10 and Integral Rano and was the criminal who ran his own drugs business while also conspiring with Bell to supply drugs. The 36-year-old arranged deals and managed logistics. Paul Brown, 51, of Leicester Road in Failsworth, was also handed a prison season of 10 years for conspiracy to supply Class A and B controlled drugs. Brown fled the UK in 2020 to avoid prosecution, but was arrested in Spain in 2024 following an extensive international manhunt and extradited back to the UK to face justice. Brown played a key role in the drug distribution. Bell, Ogden, Brown joined 6 fellow members of the organised crime group behind bars after they were sentenced on the 13th of July 2023. Christopher Watson, 50, of Huddersfield Road, Oldham, who ran with the handle to BOMU, was sentenced to 16 years and 6 months for conspiracy to supply Class A and B and money laundering. He was a trusted courier who transported drugs and cash across the country, regularly reporting to Bell and conducting numerous exchanges. David Williams, 47, of Clifton Avenue, Wales, who used the alias Ho Ho Ho, delivered the drugs, collected payments and referred to Bell as the boss, received a 12-year sentence for conspiracy to supply Class A and B controlled drugs and money laundering. Kane O'Keefe, 31, of Minto Street in Ashton-under-Lyne, used the handle Stark Forest, was jailed for 12 years for conspiracy to supply Class A and B controlled drugs and money laundering. He was arrested in Newcastle in April 2020 while driving a van containing 58 kg of amphetamine. The van, registered to Watson's company, was fitted with a hidden compartment used to conceal the drugs. David Wally, 50, of No Fixed Abode, was handed a 10-year prison sentence for conspiracy to supply Class A controlled drugs. He was linked to storing drugs and cash at safe houses. Nathan Hodgson, 53, of Moss Lane, Alderley Edge, was sentenced for 7 years and 6 months for conspiracy to supply Class A and B controlled drugs and money laundering. Finally, a sixth man was sentenced to 1 year in prison for money laundering after a large quantity of money was recovered at his home address and has since served his time behind bars. The group operated safe houses in Bury and Alderley Edge where drugs were stored, packaged and distributed. One of the properties contained 4 kilograms of cocaine, half a kilo of heroin, 35,000 in cash, alongside drug paraphernalia, weapons and a money counting machine. Another location held 150,000 in cash, further underlining the scale of the operation Bell and his associates were running. Evidence also revealed that Bell's couriers submitted timesheets to claim wages for drug deliveries. Messages showed Bell directing transactions, approving deals, and managing disputes over drug quality and payments. Bell also discussed laundering profits through rental businesses. It was identified that Bell, at the time of his arrest in 2020, Bell owned 32 houses, all of which are subject to a restraint order, with a view to confiscating his benefit from his criminal conduct. Even though Bell had not declared any income for 6 years, it was evident that he was living a lavish lifestyle, paying $2,200 per month in cash for a luxury apartment in Alderley Edge, where officers later found $77,000 worth of designer clothing in his wardrobe. Bell and Watson were arrested in May 2020 following a surveillance operation. Both were found in possession of encrypted devices and cash. Bell's vehicle contained a packed suitcase and a copy of a Spanish travel document, ready to flee the country at the moment of notice. Greater Manchester Police, the GMP, was at the forefront of the national effort, working closely with the National Crime Agency, the NCA, and other regional forces as part of Operation Venetic, the UK's response to the EncroChat takedown. As of August 2025, the police has made 269 arrests as part of the operation, with 215 individuals already sentenced to a combined total of over 2,120 years in prison. Detective Inspector Richard Castley from the GMP Serious Organised Crime Division said, "Gregory Bell was not just a drug dealer, he was the head of a criminal enterprise that reached into every corner of the UK. He operated like a CEO, using encrypted phones, spoofed identities, and a network of couriers and safe houses to move vast quantities of drugs and launder millions of pounds. Thanks to the tireless work of the police officers and the partners, they were able to dismantle this network piece by piece." The scale of Bell's operation was staggering, from the volume of drugs being moved to the number of properties he acquired through criminal proceeds. This was a man who profited from the misery that drug dealing and using has on our communities, not just in Manchester but the entire country. Seeing Bell behind bars as another victory in our ongoing fight against serious and organised crime, he added. Hilary Ryan, Specialist Prosecutor for the Crown Prosecution Services, Serious Economic and Organised Crime and International Directorate, said, "Gregory Bell and Ian Ogden, who played a leading role in the distribution of hundreds of kilos of Class A and B drugs to the Northwest, have been jailed. They believe they were operating in secret, using encrypted devices, but we were working closely with the National Crime Agency and Greater Manchester Police. We were able to prove the scale of their organised crime group's offending so they can be sentenced for it and prevented from spreading dangerous drugs and associated crime to the region." Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.